Hello, and many thanks for looking back in at the channel today. And before we start, I'll just show you R.758, the green Hymek, pulling a shortened milk train on the downward main line. Now we'll come back to that after some updates. I've got quite a few layout updates on the Super 4 layout, and I suppose first, slightly embarrassingly, after last week's video when I was encouraging people to maintain their lever point switches, I've got this to show you, which if I get a bit closer you might notice is a redesigned point motor. That was points T, and one of the switches that was sticking on my layout, and it's cost me a point motor. So safe to say that after this complete meltdown, and you can see that it's totally burnt out, which is a great shame because they're not cheap items, these points motors. I have overhauled all the point switches. So points T in particular, which was sticking, there's a nice spring there now. So all the point switches have been overhauled, and hopefully I won't be embarrassing myself with any more burnt out point motors. But anyway, there's always one or two setbacks in playing with toy trains, and I've just suffered one. So what's new? Well, I got a bit despondent after that burnt out point motor, and I decided to get some track out and have a play with extending the layout. So let's just pan back a bit, and I've got some potential higher level additions to the railway, and I suppose it starts with another elevated section. I've redesigned this longer siding by the new turntable, incorporated a new junction and a second elevated section, so that just goes along there in front of the branch line. And the reason for that is because I wanted to use a Y point, and I haven't yet used the Y point on the layout, so I've created a new junction coming off the up and over branch line. As you can see, we come off the up and over branch line by that girder bridge. Set of points there splits the track into two. Then we've got the Y points that bring in the new elevated section, and I've incorporated the operating ore bridge, which is now above the branch line, so that's going to be brought into operation. You can see I've got the Class 37 parked underneath and polys on the top. These accessories aren't operational yet. And coming off from the Y point, there's another raised section which is coming around here, and this is going to be to my hump shunting yard. So let me see if I can pan back and give you a look. Now I am slightly short of these. I have got another box somewhere. Let's just focus in on that. The high level piers are 5.3. I know I've got a box of those, and I've also got a little brick bridge which I might use where the elevated section crosses over the branch line, but I'm really quite excited about it. It's all coming on. The reason for the second incline is so I can bring trains to the hump shunting yard in from two directions. It's just an additional route from the upward main line, sorry. So points G into the new crossover, up the new incline, into the Y point, and then straight into the hump shunting yard. Now from the other side of the Y point I access the hump shunting yard from the existing up and over. Right, well I have incorporated a little bit of an extension for the operating ore set, which will end just there, so I should be able to get a fairly long ore train in. That will be reversed in, and I think we're going to have some great fun operating all these additional items on the layout, and I've certainly got quite a bit of nickel plating ahead of me. Well, that's the news. That's what's been happening on the Super 4 layout since the last video, and right now I'm going to pause the recording just for a minute because I'm going to get the Hymek into the inner double track loop, and then I'm going to take you for a drive around the layout using some of the new junctions. So we're going to start off on the inner double track loop and see where that takes us. So I hope you're going to enjoy this trip around the layout, and I'll just get the loco ready for it. Right, well, here's the Hymek on the inner of the double track loops. I've written out all these points onto a card because there's no way I can remember it. I did practice this route when I last had a little running session, so I want to share it with you now. So first of all, I've got to get points D set to straight because I want to bring this out now. And there goes points D. I want to bring this onto the downward main line now. I am going to be trying to operate everything in real time. So we'll see how we go with that. Points D now set for mainline running. So let's have a circuit while I collect my thoughts. You can perhaps see some of the new raised sections there. It's really bringing a busy look to the layout. There's going to be lots of potential movements. Can't wait to really operate that ore train. So here comes the Hymek. We're going through the station, and while that goes round, I'm going to get to the points which is sort out points E, and I want to check points T and L are both set to curve. Now they look like they are, so I'm hoping now to be able to drive this straight onto the branch line. So I'm just on the controller now because I want to be nice and slow over the junction, and here are the 3 points I just mentioned. Great, well, I'm on the branch line now, and I'm going to just slow down a minute because I want to read out all the points I've got to check, and maybe we'll try and take a look at them. So let's have a look. Points L. Well, points L aren't electrified yet, but they're set to curved because I want to go onto the upward existing part of the bidirectional branch line. So that will take us all the way around the girder bridge. Then points U are where we split off to the new high level sections, come down past the station, and we've got in quick succession points V, W and X, which need to be straight, curved and straight respectively, and that should get me to points G, which is the upward main line. So I'm now going to try and drive that route. So let's pick up the Hymet. I'm going to start off now crossing over both the main lines and then climbing away. I hope you can see that in the distance, just over the first girder bridge. Lots of this track needs a bit of a clean, it's not replated. And now coming down the original decline. So here I come. New junctions there, over those quite nicely. And indeed I am now approaching points G, so I'm going to slow the engine. There we go. Right, well, that's the first part of this sorted out. So what I need to do now is get points G set to curve, and then I can move on to the upward controller and move out the Hymek onto the upward main line. So she seems to have picked up a bit of speed now, obviously got a bit of time to make up on this route with me holding up the train to explain all those points. So coming around the upward main line, now that set of points there, we need to open those in a minute to get back into that double track loop, the inner one. So I'm back to the controls, slowing this down and getting ready to operate points A. So here we come, just round past the LMS coaches and getting ready to enter the long straight of the inner double track loop. So just making a way into there. Just desperately trying to crawl around as slowly as possible. Right, I'm going to come to a stop just there, if I can, and just try and think what I need to do. Well, let's have a look. Those points are set for straight. Well, I might be able to just drive straight round, actually. Let's try. Just nice and slowly gets away with it. Yeah, and indeed I've made it right back to the starting point. So just come to a halt there. And remember that I need to sort out points A. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. Maybe we could have one more movement. Now, the Class 37 is underneath the ore bridge. Got some coal wagons there, other wagons on. I think Polly's been backing up some wagons to empty. Looking forward to actually being able to do that. So I wonder if I could get that Class 37 now onto the upward main line. So that means I've got to just okay, I need to set points V, I think, to curve. So just finding my way to the switches, and that's points V is just under that passenger bridge, and points G. So can I now drive this out? So I'm going to try and drive it out with the upward controller. Yeah, power available. So coming along past that halt and over the new points. And indeed, here's points G. So I'm just going to drive past points G, set those now to straight. And I think now the Class 37 is making its way around the layout. That's going to be the end of our running session today. Well, I think route cards now are probably what I'm going to have to do to prepare these trips around the layout, especially if I'm using the newer sections of track, because it's just impossible to remember all the point switches. Well, it is for me anyway. But anyway, look at this Class 37 picking up speed. Got a nice rake of Wren private owners wagons behind it, and it's just enjoying a run around the upward main line. I think, like all Triangs, I need to slow it down fractionally now. There, much better. Okay, well, big changes on the layout. I hope you've enjoyed seeing them. I've certainly got plenty of work because I need to find my high-level piers, start plating a bit more track, get all these high-level sections stable, plated or cleaned as required and operational. Great things happening, and I'm really enjoying them. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this video, seeing all the updates, and experiencing a trip around the layout. So I'll leave you with the Class 37. Until the next video, I'll say goodbye.